When I was 7 years old, I had a dream to become a professional footballer. 15 years later, I signed my first professional contract. It took me thousands of hours, many sacrifices, and more mistakes than I can count. But today, right now, I'm not playing professional football. I'm not even signed to a club, so why the hell should you listen to me? Because I know what it takes to get there, and more importantly, I know what not to do. This is the third time I'm making this type of video, simply because they have been among the most appreciated videos that I've ever made. The first one changed my channel. It has over 160,000 views. The second one provided 35,000 more players around the world with new perspectives. And today I'm sharing 7 new mistakes I will make damn sure to avoid as I find my way back into professional football. 7 mistakes that I promise will give you a new perspective on your own football career. Let's begin. Mistake number 1, there's another day tomorrow. When I was younger and started looking for inspiration, there was one thing that stood out. Everyone talked about hard work. So I took that seriously, but maybe too seriously. Because at just 10, 11 years old, I remember that I sometimes trained up to 6 hours a day. Because I truly believe that more always meant better. But what I didn't understand back then is that our bodies have limits, and when you're constantly pushing beyond those limits, you're not really becoming better, you're just setting yourself up to hit a wall. And even today, for example, during intense interval sessions on the track, or when I'm out on the pitch by myself practicing some ball work, I still get that urge of, just one more rep. And even if that still happens today, I've become much better, and I'll learn how to pause and to remind myself that stick to the plan and listen to your body, because there's another day tomorrow. And the truth is, 1 or 2 of these hero sessions won't change your career, they won't make you a professional footballer, but if you keep going over that limit, it's just a matter of time before you get injured badly or you experience burnout. What actually will allow you to become a pro footballer is consistency, where you keep showing up day by day over time and not going all out every single time. If you want to be in the game long enough to make that dream happen, you have to learn when to push hard and when it might be better to hold back. Mistake number 2, looking too far ahead. I was out on a long run the other day when I realized something that I've been thinking about for a while, but haven't really been sure of how to explain it in a way that makes sense. So, I was on this long, straight stretch of road where it just kept going for several kilometers, but I kept my focus on the ground in front of me, focusing on getting into a good rhythm and a good flow. And I felt fast and I felt motivated, and that kept me going forward. But then I looked up, far ahead, and then suddenly the finish line started to feel so far away. I started thinking about how long I had left, how tired I already was, and I even started to slow down a bit. And that's when I realized chasing your dream is exactly the same. If you're always obsessing over how far you still have to go to reach your dreams, to become a pro, to sign that contract, to actually making it, then it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. Yes, sometimes it's important to look up, it's important to have that vision, but if you keep looking too far ahead, you might lose sight of the steps right under your feet. Even worse, you think so much about where you want to go that your legs stop moving altogether. Progress comes from focusing on the next step, not the entire mountain. So keep your head down, put in the work, and look up just often enough to remind yourself why you started. Mistake number 3, time is your best friend. Look, I know you want to become a pro footballer, otherwise you probably wouldn't have clicked on this video. And I know, because I was exactly the same, that you want it to happen as fast as possible. But the truth is, you never know how long it'll take. And that's why you have to learn to be patient. It took me 15 full years to become a professional footballer. I signed that pro contract at 22, not at 16, not at 18, not at 20, and that's the age when most people give up because they think it's too late. And of course I had my moments of doubt and stress, hell, almost every day. But deep down I always believed that time was my friend. I trusted that my best was still ahead of me and that I had what it takes to prove myself at the elite level. Now, what actually happened was compounding. And compounding only happens when you stick with something long enough. Every training session, every decision to keep going when it's tough, they all build on top of each other. And at first it doesn't feel like much. But then slowly, these results start stacking and the growth gets faster and faster. For example, what I believe was among the final pieces of the puzzle for me personally was for me to relax mentally when playing in the games, which actually allowed me to display the qualities that I had. And that wouldn't have happened if I decided to quit 1 or 2 years earlier. And now I'm 25 and I'm not even in a team right now, but I know that long-term consistency, hard work, and a bit of a belief will get me back and probably even beyond the level that I reached before. I might be 26, I might be 27, hell, I might even be 28 when I make my comeback to pro football. But as long as I can perform at the level that's required, and I trust that time is working with me and not against me, then everything is still possible. Mistake number 4, trying to be perfect. One of the biggest mistakes I see among younger players and that I've made myself is chasing perfection. I think I even spoke about this in the first edition that I released 2 years ago, but honestly I think it's so important that I want to bring it up again. Now, perfection is when you want every training session to be perfect, every game, every repetition. And when it's not perfect, you feel like you're failing and you start to beat yourself up. But the truth is, perfection will only break you down, because perfection isn't real. It's good to have high standards because they hold you accountable and they keep you performing at a high level, but having a great performance is not the same thing as having a perfect performance. The pros you look up to, they mess up, they have bad sessions, they miss chances, they get dropped. What makes them pros is not that they're perfect, it's that when things are not going their way, they still get back to it and they trust the process. They learn from mistakes, they adapt, and they move on. Progress isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent and trusting that the ugly days will also move you forward. Mistake number 5, allowing yourself to dream. I've said this so many times, but I truly admire people who dare to dream. Because to me, a dream is the most powerful thing you can have. It gives you a direction and it gives you fuel. It acts as a guiding light, especially in the bad moments. But what I've noticed is that so many players are afraid to dream big. They're afraid that if they dream big, their friends might make fun of them. And hear me now when I say this. I've been laughed at so many times in my career, I've been made fun of, and people still question today why I keep doing what I do. But the absolute biggest fear of mine is not to have people laugh at me, but it's to stop dreaming. To stop being optimistic about my life, to stop having something to aim for. The alternative would be to live without any direction, and there's no fucking way that that will ever happen to me. This kid, he had crazy dreams. Play for Real Madrid, win Ballon d'Ors and Champions Leagues. Now, he hasn't done that, but that dream have carried him so far in his life that I have no idea where he would have been without it. So please, promise me to dream big. Say it out loud, write it down. Hell, even write your dream down in the comments. And if someone questions it, they'll have to deal with me. Mistake number 6, walking without a map. Okay, so you probably understood now that a dream is powerful. It gives you a direction and a pull towards what you truly want in your life and career. But as much as I preach dreams, the problem is that they can sometimes be a bit too vague. They inspire you, but they don't tell you exactly what to do, and that's where many players get stuck. They have this big vision of, I want to go pro, but they have no idea of how to actually make it happen. That's why a dream without a plan is like walking without a map. You might be moving, but you're not going anywhere specific. And worst of all, you don't even realize it until the years have passed. And that's where goal setting comes in, because goals take your dream and they break it down into something real, something you can act on, something you can measure. Your dream is the destination, but your goals are the steps you need to take to get there. That's how I went from a kid in a small Swedish town to eventually playing professionally to now training 15 plus hours a week, chasing the biggest comeback of my life. So continue to dream big, but plan smart. But how do you actually plan smart? I'll tell you all about it in the final mistake. Mistake number 7, realign the stars. We're going to end this list with what I believe is the biggest mistake that you can make, and the mistake that is quietly destroying football dreams every day around the world: quitting. Not because you weren't good enough, not because you didn't work hard, but because you couldn't stay motivated. But the truth is, motivation will come and go. And if you rely solely on motivation to keep on going, eventually you will burn out. because it's not sustainable. So what do? You realign. You take a hard look at your goals. You ask yourself, what do I truly want right now? Because sometimes the dream doesn't disappear, it just evolves. And that's exactly what happened to me. After playing professionally for the last couple of years, I left team football because I didn't feel the same way anymore. No clear path, no real motivation to keep on going. And instead of forcing myself to keep chasing the same path I always have chased, I realigned. Now I'm going all in on becoming the fittest version of myself, chasing national level goals within track and field, while also still keeping the dream of that football comeback alive. And that shift, it brought back my desire, my passion, my drive. So if you're struggling to stay motivated, maybe you don't need to push harder. Maybe you just need to readjust the map. And if you don't know where to start or how to move forward, I made this video right here that shows you exactly how to become a pro footballer, even if you're starting from zero. Watch that next and take the first steps in your journey. If you enjoyed this video, or if you're interested in following my journey where I attempt to become one of the best 800-meter runners in my country in only 12 months, while at the same time making my way back into professional football, make sure to subscribe. Also consider checking me out on Instagram, where I've started to post a lot more behind the scenes content of how I actually train day to day and a lot more things. But that's it for this time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.